This episode of Sideline Warning is brought to you by Roost Sport, makers of the original magnetic running pouch. Whether you're biking, running, hiking, or even traveling, the Roost Sport clips to your waistband with magnets for an easy, convenient way to carry what you need without the bulk of belts or bags. Visit theroostsport.com and use the code SIDELINE30, all lowercase, for 30% off their entire product line. Again, that's theroostsport.com, promo code SIDELINE30. And now on with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sideline Warning, the show where sports takes are sure to go way too far into the field. Here to recap this week's biggest and best sports stories are your hosts, Dave Adams, Ben Foster, and Adam Russell.
And welcome into another edition of Sideline Warning. That's right, it's me, Hollywood Ben Foster, keeping the holiday lights on, keeping all the Christmas lights on, while Dave and Adam are running about the country. I'm sitting here producing, getting everything squared away, and it's time for a best of show. I found a few of our favorite segments from throughout the year, and just want to play those for you guys. So I'll kind of introduce each segment. But first, before we get going with that, I need to give you some score predictions that Dave and Adam have sent in to me because we've got a couple of big games coming up soon. So first off, we've got the semifinal game with Clemson and Notre Dame. Here's our score predictions. We're so confident in these score predictions and the outcomes that we didn't even do a preview show. It's just me reading the scores out to you because we feel like the real meat of the college football playoff is coming next week. So here we go with that. It's Dave's prediction for Clemson Notre Dame. He's going to say Clemson wins 24-14. And then for Adam's prediction, he thinks Clemson's going to win 34-21. Now, those are good predictions. They're not as good as mine, but they're pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you Clemson's going to win this game. They're going to win it handily. I think Clemson wins 42-27. So a high-scoring affair, but Clemson will be in charge for most of the game. Now, we need some score predictions for the Alabama-Oklahoma game. Obviously, I think you can all guess which team we're going with, so I'll go ahead and get to that without any further ado. Dave's score prediction, Bama 56, Oklahoma 35. So Dave's not too confident in the Oklahoma defense. I don't think any of us are. Adam's score prediction, not quite as generous as Dave's. He's picking Alabama to win 45-31. Now, for my score prediction, I think it's going to be absolutely key that Alabama control possession, control time of possession, and dominate that in this game. I think that they can handle Oklahoma because their defense is not that good, but I do think Oklahoma has the ability to turn this into a shootout similar to the game they had with Georgia last year. But that said, I think Alabama is going to be in good shape. I like Alabama to win this game 45-31. So, wait, that's Adam's score. So I can't do that. I can't do the same thing as Adam. That'd be too much. So let me go ahead and rearrange that a little bit. I will predict the defense improves over Adam's prediction, and I will take Alabama 45, Oklahoma 28. So I'm now very similar to Adam, but also just a little bit different. All right, so those are the score predictions, and now it's time to get on with the best of segments. Our first one is one of my personal favorites. It's our baseball predictions that we did in April. So you can see exactly how much we got wrong. You can see where the Nick Markakis is a failure joke that's been running on the show started. And you can also see that at the beginning of the season, none of us knew how to pronounce Ronald Acuna's name. So, Acuna Matata, my friends. Here's our first best of segment.
So we got to talk about baseball, guys. Are y'all excited?
I'm excited.
I've been waiting for this the whole time. I love it.
Yeah. Adam, you have actually been to more baseball games this season than any of us combined because you posted about it on the Instagram page. So what did you see from the Braves and Cardinals that got you excited for the Braves, or did you see something that got you not excited for the Braves season this year?
I was sitting at the game. It was a split squad game. The Braves were playing the Cardinals at the sports complex at Walt Disney World, and then I think they were split the other side against the Phillies. And I was getting text updates throughout the game from the At Bat app on the phone, and it was a very slow game on our side with the Cardinals, and the Cardinals ended up winning 3-0. But it was like every 5 seconds I was getting a ping about something that Acuna was doing over in the other game. So I actually wished, from a baseball fan perspective, I was at the other one. But we had a good time. I think the Cardinals definitely looked strong. They put a lot of their big names up in that game. The Braves, I mean, looked like you'd expect half of the Braves to look like. It looked like half a baseball team. And I think the thing that concerned me the most was the pitching. But again, it's spring ball, so they're throwing everything in the kitchen sink out there to get people on the field and get them playing time. So I think I saw exactly what I expected to see.
Yeah, what concerns me with the Braves this year is Julio Teheran is the number one guy in name only. I have said this ever since Julio's come up from the minors. Julio Teheran is a number 3 starter. I don't trust him to be the anchor of the pitching rotation. When you talk about the Braves in the 90s, you've got Tommy Glavine, Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, Steve Avery even can go in there. All these huge pitching names. But when you now look at the Braves, Julio Teheran, Newman's going to come up. I think he'll be decent. Brandon McCarthy, who's way past his prime. I don't see a strong pitching rotation for the Braves this year.
I think Folty is going to get some starts. I think Foltynewicz could be pretty good.
Folty's good, but he hasn't realized how good he is yet. He needs to get his command for his fastball down. He's got an amazing high 90s fastball, but he's wild when he throws it. And when he lets up one home run, he doesn't have a short memory when it comes to pitching. He loses it. He loses all control, and it's gone. If Folty can get it together, Folty can be a solid number 2. But now, so look at the Braves starting 4 right now, because I don't know if we've announced the 5th guy. You got Teheran, you've got Brandon McCarthy, you've got Folty, and you got Newman. Who's your 5th guy? Because the Braves just released Scott Kazmir over the weekend.
Well, I think the way the Braves schedule plays out, it's actually going to be probably 10 or 12 games into the season before the Braves actually have to decide who that 5th starter is going to be.
Yeah, and that's good because the Braves' back of the bullpen is not good. I was watching the Braves and Yankees over the weekend. I was actually at a lake house watching the Braves and Yankees. So I'm a sports guy. Thank you very much. But the Braves were looking decent. I think we're tied with the Yankees until they handed it over to the bullpen, and the bullpen just got demolished. I think the Yankees ended up winning like 8-2. So I'm not very excited to see this bullpen come in either.
Yeah, I think the bullpen's going to be the weakest part for the Braves this year. I think the starting pitching is going to be serviceable, and I think the bats are going to be there better than they've been in probably the last 3, 4, maybe 5 seasons. So I think the Braves are going to be able to score some runs, and so when you have starters that can go deep, the Braves are going to be able to get some wins that they just couldn't get before. But I think you're going to have a lot of games where the Braves hit well during the game, and then the bullpen lets everybody down.
Typical Atlanta Braves. I hate to say it, but the Braves are kind of the laughing stock of the South right now when it comes to baseball. They said 2017 was the year the Braves were pushing for, but then the crappy stuff that happened with the general manager. Now the Braves have a good general manager. I think Alex Anthopoulos is a great guy. I think he's the right man for the job. But I still think we're about 2 years off before this still number 1 farm system turns into a fruitful Atlanta Braves major league team.
Yeah, I don't think the Braves are going to be, that competitive in the East. I think maybe if everything gets clicking and the Braves play the best possible baseball, I still think they're going to be the second best team in the East. But I think that more realistically, they're probably a little further down the line. They're the 3rd or 4th best team in the East if we're being realistic.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to be fighting with the Phillies for that 3rd/4th spot. Yeah, I agree.
Well, at least we know the Marlins won't be up there fighting for the third spot. They might even be fighting for the sixth spot. And if you know anything about baseball's East, there is no sixth spot. Derek Jeter, I don't know what he's doing in Miami, but he's apparently just feeding everybody to the Yankees. He's a sleeper agent for the Yankees. But
well, people always love to joke. Here in Alabama, they always like to say, "Well, thank goodness for Mississippi." That's kind of what the Marlins are for baseball, at least for the National League East. It's like, well, thank you, Miami. We're going to put our worst product on the field this year, and we're still going to come in fourth because Miami's there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I was going to say what he's doing down there is making the Braves front office actually look good, which is saying something the last few years.
That is true. Now, speaking of front office moves, I do want to ask you guys a very important question about a very hot topic. We're all Braves fans here. So we all know that Ronald Acuna, who is probably Mr. Baseball for the Major League Baseball right now, he won't be coming up until mid-April. There is a loophole in the current CBA that if a player starts in the minors and plays in the minors for 2-3 weeks, the team gets another year of control for that player. Is that the Braves finding the loophole and being the bad team, or are we okay with that?
I'm okay with that because the Braves aren't going to win the World Series this year, are they?
No.
Then why would you not want to save Acuna where you have an extra year of control? He's too good to keep down for the entire year. You can't do that. He's got to come up this year. He's got to play. But if you could have one extra year of Acuna, wouldn't you want to do that?
Of course I would, but then you also have to look at Acuna's side. If you're Acuna, are you mad at the Braves after 3 years now? Are you going to want to resign for somebody who kind of held you back?
Well, a similar situation. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, I was going to say there was just a report I was doing a little bit looking 2 hours ago. Someone posted that he turned down $30 million from the Braves.
Did he turn down because he didn't want the team to spend that much on him, or because he didn't want to resign?
Oh, I don't know. That's the question. But he did reject that. So they were going above what the Phillies did with Scott Kingery. So, yeah. They evidently want him.
Well, the situation that Acuna's in is very similar to the situation that a team called the Chicago Cubs had with one Chris Bryant. That seemed to work out okay, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're in we're in the final year of control for the Cubs, aren't we? So we will see what happens when the Cubs have to do some negotiation with him.
Well, I don't think Chris Bryant's got a sore spot about the Chicago Cubs, right? I think he sees it's advantageous to stay there. If Chris Bryant's not with the Cubs next year, it won't be because they held him back 13 games to have an extra year of control. He's not sore about it now, and I don't think Ronald Acuna will be sore about it if he gets held back this year and then the Braves start winning the next couple of seasons after that. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Acuna Matata means no worries.
Do you hear the dead silence, Ben?
That was a wonderful phrase. Thank you, Ben.
So join us next week.
Dave, you still there? Did we lose you?
I think we did.
Join us next week when Dave has 2 new co-hosts. No, I can't say I hadn't thought that before. Be honest with you, gentlemen.
You're just mad I got to the Disney joke before you.
I am actually. I'm mad that the 2 Disney geeks on the show didn't bring that up first. Oh man. But okay. Wow. So we got to talk about this. So the Braves are now keeping Acuna down in the minors for, until my guess is April 16th, the first homestand. They probably want his first game up be at SunTrust Park. So what does that do for the right field corner right now? Markakis, we got Ender Inciarte. Who is going to play that other position in the outfield? You got Lane Adams, who I don't care about. The Braves just signed Piscotty, who played for the Phillies, and he's played for the Cardinals. He's a good not Piscotty. What is his name? Peter Boyos. Played for the Phillies. He's played for the the Cardinals, good, fast player, but I don't trust him in the outfield. So what do the Braves do for the first 16 games of the season?
Well, right now the Braves are carrying 5 outfielders. So Lane Adams had some moments last year where he played pretty well. You could stick him over in left field. I think that makes sense. Markakis, I definitely think you put in right field. The recent acquisition, Peter Borges, you could put him out there, or Preston Tucker. Any of those options. You're only trying to survive 2 or 3 weeks in a season that's 164 games, and you're not going to the playoffs this year. More than likely, you might have a shot at a wild card spot if everybody else in the National League is horrendous. So, any of these guys will do. I'd be fine with Lane Adams. That's who I'd go with.
I'm not. That doesn't excite me.
It's not supposed to excite you. We're not trying to excite you. We're just trying to kill time until Acuna gets here. That's all we're trying to do. We're not trying to sell tickets, because Acuna's going to sell enough tickets once he gets up. We're not trying to impress people. We're not trying to set a home run record in the month of April. We're just trying to put somebody out there in left field to hold a spot. That's all you're trying to do. And Lane Adams can do that. That's what Lane Adams does.
You're on the road against the favorites to win your own division, right? And you're on the road against the Cubs, who are the favorites to win the Central, and you're on the road against one of the favorites to probably slide into a wild card this year with the Rockies. So, I mean, I think you're just trying to make it through that at 500, if that good,
Probably at 400.
So, yeah,
because the Braves are going to see Jake Arrieta on Thursday when they play the Phillies, and that terrifies me. I hate Arrieta.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, okay. So I'm going to throw a name out there, and I shared this on the Facebook fan group this afternoon. There's still a free agent out there that could possibly land in Atlanta, and who's also worked with Alex Anthopoulos, one Joey Bats. Jose Bautista is still a free agent. What about that signing?
It seems a little expensive.
He's in the twilight of his career. What if Anthopoulos gets the hometown or the friend discount and says, look, you're going to be a spot player. I know you play first base. So the Braves don't have a backup first baseman right now on the roster. So if you have Joey Bats come in, play spots when Freddie needs some downtime. When we go to the American League Park, Joey Bats is going to be your designated hitter, and you'd have the 2 weeks when Acuna's not in the lineup. I like it. And on the upside, say he has a resurgence in the National League, and he has, he hits 20 home runs before the trade deadline. You've got trade bait. Why not? Yeah, the Braves aren't expected to be there. So if he's hit 20 home runs, be a seller. Get some minor league filler from a team that's buying.
I mean, I like bringing a name in that folks would recognize. I don't see it happening, though. I don't think we'd have made some of the recent signings in the outfield if we had an idea of bringing him in, but you never know.
Who would you rather have in right field? Would you rather have Nick Markakis or Joey Bats?
Well, let's put a hold there, and I'm going to throw out my neighbor who's a huge Braves fan, Matthew Patterson. Sorry, Matthew, I almost said your name wrong. But him and I were having this conversation. He's a huge Braves fan, and I said, man, I hate Nick Markakis. I've always hated Nick Markakis. I was sold a bill of goods that Nick Markakis was the savior of the Baltimore Orioles, and when he came into the Braves, he had a broken freaking neck, and he hasn't been the same since he came in with that broken neck. He doesn't strike out much, but I don't like Nick Markakis. If I have a guy coming up, first and third, 2 outs, and I need a hit, Nick Markakis isn't the guy I want in the batter's box.
He's the John Petty of Atlanta Braves baseball.
I didn't say he was a failure. I just don't like him.
Nick Markakis is one of the guys I'd want hitting. If I've got to have a hit, I want Freddie Freeman, obviously. But Nick Markakis is a gamer. And, neck injuries aside, Nick Markakis is a baseball guy. And for the past few years, he has been a great part of the clubhouse for the Braves because he was the only guy that even seemed like a veteran. So I think Nick Markakis has contributed a lot in Atlanta. I think he is an integral part of this team while they're transitioning from being a young team to a team that's got a little bit of experience. Markakis is a guy you want around. That's not to say guys couldn't learn a lot from Jose Bautista. I think both of them. Bautista's 3 years older. He's 37. Markakis is 34. I think it would be great to have Bautista in there, and then you have a platoon situation there in right field. You put Acuna in left, Inciarte in center, and then you have Markakis and Bautista swapping out.
I'm okay with that, but all right. So another thing I was talking with Matthew about, actually about 5 minutes before we got on the show, him and I both don't think that Ender nor Markakis will be on the team after the trade deadline. I think those two guys are huge trade baits right now, especially as hot as Ender is right now. I think the Braves are going to try to move Markakis and Ender and Inciarte by the trade deadline.
I definitely think it's possible. But in the short term, Bautista's a right-handed batter. Markakis is a left-handed batter. So you can actually kind of use them in a situation where you play, you play based on who the starting pitcher is. And they both have beards. They look alike. So you're not even going to notice.
Nothing alike. That's like saying me and you look alike, Ben.
Hey, it's that tall guy with a beard in right field. It's nobody will even notice. You can just swap them out.
Okay.
Well, as you can see from those predictions, none of us were expecting the Braves to have as big of a season as they had, but the baby Braves stepped up. Also, guys like Nick Markakis stepped up. I believe right after we had this discussion about not wanting Nick Markakis to be out on the field, Markakis hit a home run on opening day. He then proceeded to have an amazing first half of the season, so much so that he made the All-Star team. And then he had a pretty good second half of the season, and the Braves made it to the playoffs after winning the National League East. Phenomenal season for the Braves, just amazing, vastly exceeded our expectations that we had back in April. So an amazing thing, and now we're geared up for the next season for the Braves. So hopefully they can make some good moves here in the next few weeks and be in good shape. Something else that was a fantastic segment on the show this year was our segment we did for Tennessee Hate Week. We had our usual score predictions, but then we also had to work in all of our favorite reasons for why you should hate Tennessee. So that's a great comedic segment. It's one of our personal favorites. Here's that segment, Tennessee Hate Week. All right, one game left to pick. That's Alabama, 7-0 on the season, on the road against Tennessee. It's hate week, folks. Guys, I need a score prediction and a winner.
I'll tell you what, this one's going to be tough. We're coming in with our quarterback hurt. Probably won't even play him.
Yeah, I can't even say that with a straight face. 63-0.
Wow.
Jeez, Dave.
Nothing Tennessee has showed me makes me think that this is going to be a close game. Ben, you and I will get to walk down the field level by the end of the first quarter.
That would be fun.
The Sea of Orange will part by halftime.
Can I give a if Jalen starts score and an if Tua starts score? Or do I just have to okay, all right. No, I think absolutely Alabama's going to be the pick. I think it's going to be 49-17.
We don't score 50?
No. We play more conservative to keep Tua healthy, even though he is going to start. But we score enough to where our second and third string come in at a point where Tennessee actually puts some points on the board.
Okay.
See, I have sound logic.
You every now and then you do.
Ben?
I think there's several things that factor in. One is that Saban likes to put his former assistants in their place, but he also likes to not show them up too badly. And also, Saban usually doesn't cover the spread in that type of game. So even though Alabama has trounced Tennessee previously, I could see Alabama actually kind of inadvertently letting their foot off the gas for a game like this, knowing they've got it in the bag, knowing they're going into a bye week. So I'm actually going to take it with a close score. I don't think the game's going to be close. I just think the score is going to be close because Tennessee is going to play 4 quarters and Alabama's not going to play 4 quarters this week. So I'm going to take Alabama winning 45-20.
Ooh,
my man.
That's way too close. All right. So this is normally where we'd say, you've heard our picks, you've heard our sports talk, now it's time to bring the sideline warnings. Well, we're going to do things different this week. Y'all, this is hate week. This is hashtag Tennessee hate week. So we're going to go through and we're going to do our favorite, probably 4 or 5 for each of us, our favorite hashtag Tennessee hate weeks. From Twitter, you can make up your own, whatever you want to do. Let's bring some hate weeks. Ben?
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, I have an ironic one that's actually about tweeting. So it's a tweet about tweeting. No Tennessee fan has ever been able to send a tweet about Alabama losing to Tennessee.
That's impressive. The last time Alabama lost to Tennessee was 2006.
Yep.
Mike Shula's last year. So, yeah, Twitter came out in late 2006. There you go. Ben?
There you go.
It has been said that Neyland Stadium looks very much like a garbage truck workers convention. And I just want to say that while that is often repeated on Tennessee Hate Week, it is not fair to sanitation workers. Those people go out there and do a great job. They go collect our trash. They help keep us safe and healthy because they collect our trash. Other places in the world where you have your trash not getting collected, there's disease, there's contagion. Sanitation workers are a critical part of our society, and they deserve much better than being compared to Tennessee fans.
I like it.
Wow.
Here's mine. This is going to be short and sweet. Guys, seriously, our football team's intern used to be Tennessee's head coach. Let that sink in for a second.
But is it a paid internship?
30,000. I think he's making $30,000 this year. A guy who's not even coaching a position used to be making the decisions for the University of Tennessee football team.
That's so funny. How about Tennessee? The only 10 I see is the amount of rushing yards Alabama allows this weekend.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Ben?
Guys, I'm not a dog person. Seriously, I do like dogs. I am just not convinced that Tennessee's mascot is even any sort of actual like hound. I think they just found a mutt and they threw him out there. There's some great mutts out there, but this poor dog has been forced to wear orange colors. I think it should be reported for animal abuse what the Tennessee fans are doing, making that dog wear those ugly orange colors and have to be forced to act like he likes Tennessee. Because we know even the dog's not pulling for the Volunteers.
Yep. I'm going to throw some factoids out. It's been 4,378 days, 4 athletic directors, and 7 head coaches since Tennessee beat Alabama.
Holy cow. The last time Tennessee beat Alabama, Robert Downey Jr. was best known as that guy from Weird Science.
Oh, I like that one.
Another reason to hate Tennessee is because how much they ruin great children's television. This time of year, October, as the weather's starting to change, it is great to put on something like the Peanuts cartoon, where you hear the Peanuts characters exclaim, "It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown." And that should be something that everyone enjoys. But every time I hear someone yell, "It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown," I go, "Where's Philip Fulmer?" And it's ruined a children's show for me. There we go.
I got 2 for you. I'm going to do 2 back to back. You ready for this? They're short ones. The last time Tennessee beat Alabama, the most popular selling cell phone in the world was the Motorola Razr.
Wow.
And then this one is going to be a little racy, but not too bad. The last time Tennessee beat Alabama, Miley Cyrus was still a virgin. I went there.
It just gives me the creeps. Oh.
Yeah, I went there. She was still a Disney character.
Wow. This one has a picture of the emoji keyboard and the cupcake is circled, and it said, "How cool of Apple to include a Tennessee football emoji in their new iOS update." And then there's another one that says, "Some people hate Hillary, some people hate Trump, but we all hate Tennessee."
I like it.
There you go.
Ben?
One more reason to hate Tennessee, Bruce Pearl.
He's fat. All right. So I'm going to do this quote, and then we're going to do one more round each. This is mine. Well, Eli, Smokey just came out of the tunnel. He's about 100 yards away from me now, and if I had my deer rifle, I believe I can drop him. Back to you, Eli. Quote from the one Jerry Duncan.
Hey, Dave, what was yours? I want you to get full credit for it. You posted one about Tua.
Yep. Okay. The last time Tennessee beat Alabama, Alabama's sophomore quarterback, 20-year-old Tua Tagovailoa, was in third grade.
Which my son is now, who wasn't even born the last time that Tennessee beat Alabama.
Yeah.
So, yeah. My wife and I were actually married in 2006, April. So it almost, if it wasn't for that 1 year, we will have been married longer than that streak, but not quite. Anybody have another good one to wrap us up?
Yeah. No, I got one more, but Ben, bring your last one.
Yeah, man.
My last thing is just a simple criticism. Tennessee has like one of the worst stadium public address announcers ever. And Dave, you'll get to experience this on Saturday. He is notorious for just reading whatever he thinks is on the paper and mispronouncing names. One of the all-time favorites is calling Charlie Pepra Charlie Peeperoo. And it is amazing how this guy can mispronounce all sorts of names and be completely unprepared to do his job. So just Bama fans, he's not trying to disrespect you. He just can't help it. He can't read. He is a Tennessee fan. So that is just one more thing I have to point out for Tennessee Hate Week.
All right. I'm going to do my last one, and then I will play the ultimate Tennessee Hate Week video, but you'll hear the
audio.
You'll hear the audio. My last one is just a shout out to the greatest bar in Tuscaloosa. We all know that the best-selling whiskey in the world is Jack Daniel's. Well, Galette's takes it one step further. The week of the Tennessee game, Galette's refuses to sell Jack Daniel's. They take it off their shelf. So my hat tips to you, Galette's. Pour me a Yellowhammer, because you, sir, are the true hater of Tennessee. And really, if you want to get a Tennessee fan triggered, tell them Kentucky bourbon's better than Tennessee bourbon. But now, let me play you. Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it is.
Yeah, I know. Really?
It's undisputed.
Let me play you the ultimate Tennessee Hate Week video.
And just say what you've been saying, man. Why do you hate Tennessee?
Man, I hate Tennessee because first of all, it's Tennessee, and I just hate them because they low down, they dirty, they some snitches, and I hate Philip Foreman. I hate their colors. I'm not a dog person. I just hate Tennessee, man. Like, and I hate Neyland Stadium. It looks like a garbage truck worker convention. And I hate all their quarterbacks. I hate Tennessee, man.
Describe what you feel about their colors, too. I thought that was interesting.
It reminds me, and it's not that orange that you can stand. See, I hate Tennessee more than I hate Auburn. I just dislike Auburn. I hate Tennessee. See, Tennessee's colors is that throw-up orange. It's not that orange that you can sit with. It's that puke inside of a pumpkin orange and I don't like pumpkins. So I really don't like Tennessee, man. I can't stress that enough, man. And they losers, they sore losers because they're not Alabama, and I hate Tennessee, man.
That was beautiful, man. Probably.
So let's give credit where credit's due. Nick Adam is the reporter for that. Ben and I went to school with Nick Adam at the communications department there in Alabama, and congratulations. That is a perfect viral video.
I will never forget the first time Nick showed me that video. We were sitting at the radio station at UA, and he goes, "Guys, you got to see this interview I got." And plays it on one of the computers for us, and we were just dumbfounded. We were like, how is that real? And we never dreamed that it would become what it has become. So that's an amazing thing.
It's become the flagship for Tennessee Hate Week.
Oh, Tennessee Hate Week never gets old. Alabama won that game 58-21, which was not really close to any of our predictions, except it was kind of in the same neighborhood as my prediction. So I'm totally taking credit there. Well, after we did Tennessee Hate Week, we realized we also needed to make sure we were spreading the hate for when Alabama takes on Auburn in the Iron Bowl. So here it is, things I like more than Auburn.
And this we can say thank you to CJ, our good friend CJ. He gave us the idea. When we did Tennessee, we did hashtag Tennessee Hate Weeks. It's been yada 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 since Tennessee's beat Alabama. Well, the things we do for Auburn is hashtag things I like more than Auburn. Let's keep it clean because there could be some bad ones. Let's round robin this one. Give me some hashtag things I like more than Auburn.
Waiting for 9 hours in an online waiting room for Hamilton tickets at the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center, only to never get in to buy tickets. Hashtag things I like more than Auburn.
How did I know that was going to be your first one, Adam? How's this one for you, Adam? Hashtag things I like more than Auburn. Florida Georgia line.
Wow, that's saying something.
We may have crossed the line there, Dave. It's November. It's kind of cold out right now. But in July, when you go get the groceries, and you're in a hurry, you're trying to gather everything up, and you don't see how things have shifted around in the trunk of your car. So you think you've got all the groceries, and it's the weekend, so maybe you don't go back to your car on Saturday, and like Sunday morning, you're getting ready to go to church. And you get back to the car and you realize the milk has been in the car in July for about 36 hours. That's something I like more than Auburn.
Okay. I like it. This isn't near as good as yours, Ben, but this might be as bad as my Florida Georgia line pick. Things I like more than Auburn? The 2012 infield fly rule.
Ooh. Wow, that's that's saying something. How about election recounts?
Ooh, hashtag things I like more than Auburn. I like it.
I got one.
Okay.
Dave's basketball rants.
Oh,
that's something I like more than Auburn.
Wow. Oh, he likes you, Dave.
I know.
How about when you wake up at 2 a.m. This is for cat owners. When you wake up at 2 a.m. to that sound of your cat having a hairball in the middle of the living room. Ooh. Hashtag things I like more than Auburn.
This will only be for wrestling fans. And if you've watched any current wrestling, I think CJ's going to go with me. And a couple other guys are going to go with me. Brock Lesnar. Hashtag things I like more than Auburn. So I know y'all won't get it, but it's a big deal.
We got one more round?
Yeah,
let's go.
We got a couple more, I think.
It wasn't last year. It was a couple of years ago. I had something unfortunate happen, and that was on Thanksgiving weekend, the greatest weekend for eating. I don't want to be too gross here, but the weekend when you get to eat as much as you want to and get to try so many different things, and even if there's stuff you don't like, there's plenty of stuff you do like, and there's 1,000 different desserts. On Thanksgiving weekend, I got a horrendous stomach bug that stayed with me for 72 hours.
Oh.
And that is something I like more than Auburn.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
I have two more. I have one that since we're going a couple more rounds, I have one I made up and one I'm going to copy. But the one I made up is porch pirates on Christmas Eve.
Yep. That
I
has
don't even know what that is.
people
A porch
stealing
pirate?
your Amazon package.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, there's a story actually out of Alabama where they were delivering it, taking a picture for Amazon verification to show they delivered it, and then they take it and put it in their trunk and drive off with it.
Yep.
Porch pirates.
Yeah. What's your other one, Adam, that you're going to steal?
If Nickelback and Creed form a mega band and covered the song Christmas Shoes.
Oh, that's just. Oh.
If you haven't heard Christmas
I don't know.
Shoes, take a minute to listen to that one.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know about that. I may actually like Auburn more than that.
No. I got a couple of quick ones, and then I'll do a long-ish one. Things I like more than Auburn. Alabama's new version of Dixieland Delight and them pumping in the fan sounds. Things I like more than Auburn. Things I like more than Auburn. Skip Bayless and Danny Cannell. Things I like more than Auburn. Tim Brando on Twitter.
Ooh.
I wouldn't know. I can't see what he tweets.
Things I like more than Auburn. Tommy Tuberville. Because he doesn't.
Dang.
Yeah. All right, here you go. Here's my one that we can all agree with here because we all have beards. Things I like more than Auburn. When you finally No Shave November is finally over, and you go into your drawer and realize that all you have left are razors that you've used for 4 or 5 days, and they have all those beard hairs still just sitting there in the blade, and it's kind of dull. And you go in there and you try to start shaving, and the shaving cream just peels off, and you get all that blood pooling up because you're pulling your hairs out. Yeah,
Dave.
I like that more than Auburn.
Oh, that was horrible.
Gosh. Hey, ooh. I gotta be honest. Before I experienced that, I would just go to Walmart and get some more razor blades. And shopping at Walmart is something I like more than Auburn.
I can one up you, Ben. Shopping at the McFarland Walmart at midnight is something I like more than Auburn.
Hey, that's just plain fun.
Which I had.
The one on Skyland, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Got it. So here's one I can one up, and this is a personal experience I had with one of the members of this podcast. Waiting at midnight at the Skyland McFarland for the worst Star Wars movie ever to come out on DVD.
Wow.
Adam.
Yeah. No, it's actually not DVD. We got it on VHS, Dave.
Oh, that's even worse. That's even worse.
Yeah. That was the year. That was the year after we waited. Not me and you, but me and someone else in Patey waited for Titanic to come out at the Blockbuster on VHS.
Oh,
yeah, we're
Adam,
old, man.
Why did you admit that?
We're old, dude.
Why did you admit that you waited?
Because we drove out of the parking lot with him hanging out of the passenger window of my car, screaming, "I'm the king of the world!" It was hilarious.
Do I know this person?
No, I don't think so.
It's not Big Pat, is it?
No, it was not Big Pat.
Because that would be
amazingly
great.
enough, it was not Big Pat.
I could see Big Pat doing that. All right. So there is our hashtag things I hate more than Auburn.
That was another fun segment. That was one I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but then it wound up turning out 10 times funnier than I thought it was going to be. So that was just a ton of fun. The idea for that segment on Auburn actually came to us from friend of the show, CJ Watson. CJ has been great in supporting the show, promoting the show, and we've even brought him on for a few discussions. So one of the best of those was his debate with Adam over Jalen Hurts' role on the team. Now, of course, this comes about a third of the way into the season, so it's well before any kind of SEC championship game gets played. So here's just a little bit of that conversation between Adam and CJ discussing Jalen Hurts' position on the team.
So at the end of the day, that's my thing with Jalen. When you look at the last 3 games he played last year, Auburn, Clemson, and Georgia, he had 112, 120, and 21 yards passing. So at the end of the day, I think, and I'll say, I agree with you, Jalen is a skilled quarterback. And I think that he has a skill set that many, many football players in the country do not have. And I think he would make a great quarterback at a mid-tier SEC school, and I think he would drive them far beyond where they would even expect to go. A Kentucky, a Mizzou, even a Florida with the way they're playing these days. Heck, Florida State, they need all they can get. I'm all for him contributing somewhere. I just, at the end of the day, when it comes down to winning a national championship being the goal, he's not the guy who's going to get it done at the end of the day. Tua is, and we have the guy who's going to do it. I don't, though. My concern, and I'll let you talk. I'm sorry, I know I interrupted you, but my concern is that we're going to spend so much time trying to coddle this guy so that he doesn't run away on us and go across the state to Auburn as a graduate transfer. And we're going to spend all this time rehabbing him, just like Coach Saban loves to rehab these lost causes in the coaching ranks, that we're going to try to do the same thing with him, that we're going to take our eye off the prize. I don't have a problem with him. I completely agree with Saban saying we need to find a way to utilize his skill set. I just don't want to force it and end up taking our eye off the overall goal.
I don't see it as a forced thing or a coddling thing. Like you said, they want to use his skill set. And I think if you look at the way Tua, the guy's going to take some hits. I think there is a legitimate concern that Tua might miss some time because of an injury, and you want to have Jalen Hurts or Mac Jones, whoever. You want to have a guy that is comfortable in the offense and able to sort of step in and continue running it. But what Tua is doing, again, I'm not trying to make a case for Jalen over Tua here, so hear me on that. But what Tua's done is given the opportunity for Jalen to not get coddle time. I mean, it's legitimate. Well, there's no need to keep playing Tua right now. So let's get Jalen in here and not give him meaningless snaps. He's not just handing the ball off. He's running the offense, and he's running it well. In fact, if you're not looking at Jalen through the lens of I don't like Jalen, then you'll and I'm not saying this just for your sake. There's a lot of people that are highly critical of what he's done, and I want to say if Tua was not in the game doing what Tua is doing, you would look at Jalen and go, okay, he's fixed a lot of his problems.
Oh, that was such a good debate about Jalen Hurts. And I think we know that he's at least a SEC championship quarterback based on the way he came in such a heroic fashion, in such a, just almost literary fashion to you couldn't write a better book than that. So that was a phenomenal time there and just a great debate between Adam and CJ. Something that's not debatable, though, is how great Roo Sport is. We say that because they're our sponsor, but we also say that because it's such a great product. It's after Christmas. Maybe you have some post-Christmas parties where you still need to give gifts. Maybe you've got folks that have birthdays coming up. Or maybe you need to get yourself something now. That's what I'm thinking. And if that's the case, you need to think about getting a Roo Sport. You got your New Year's resolutions coming up. You're going to try to run more. You're going to try to get in shape. The Roo Sport is perfect for that. It's also perfect if you're not trying to get in shape, if you're doing other things, if you're out and about, if you're on the go, if you're traveling, if you're going to events outdoors, any of those kind of things. The Roo Sport attaches to your waistband of your pants without the bulk of belts or bags. It's just such a great product because you can hold your cell phone, your keys, your cards, all of that stuff without having things clanging around in your pockets. It makes it hard for a pickpocket to get you. It takes care of you while you're out running. It's a fantastic product, and we are thankful to have them as such a great sponsor for the show. There's no debate about it. Now, one place where we did have some debate this year was when we did our Disney ride bracket, because obviously everybody on the show loves Disney almost as much as we love sports. So we had to have a debate with the guys from I Am Geek, another wonderful podcast out there, to discuss with them the best rides at Walt Disney World. So here it is, the final four of that debate.
This is a nice final four.
So Big Thunder Mountain. Our first Final Four matchup, Big Thunder Mountain versus Pirates.
Ooh.
I'm going Big Thunder.
I'm going Big Thunder.
Big Thunder.
I've got to go Pirates.
Uh-oh.
I got to go Pirates as well. Big Thunder Mountain's amazing, but when you think about Disney World, you definitely think about Pirates of the Caribbean. So I got to go with the Pirates.
I would agree if it wasn't for the scene change.
Ooh.
Oh.
So Big Thunder Mountain.
Yeah, woohoo!
Here's an argument for, and Ryan said this earlier. It's two different experiences depending on the time of day that you go. With Pirates, it's only one experience. It's the same every time, right? But it's different at night. Like you don't know which way you're going, right? It's all of a sudden, whoa, you're going down. Oh,
dinosaur bones at night. Oh, it's amazing.
Man,
It's still got the goat.
Oh, it's fun.
That whole sports term, whatever.
So this roller coaster might be the GOAT. We don't know. I mean, it's in the final game.
It is.
Yep.
I'm gonna make a T-shirt after this. It's gonna say Big Thunder and it's gonna say GOAT underneath.
Goats.
I'd buy that T-shirt.
There we
Nice.
go. Hey,
It'll be 20% off tomorrow.
Big Thunder Goats.
we gotta print that off for the Comic Palooza coming in Houston. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so we're at Haunted Mansion, Space Ranger Spin?
Yeah, Mansion and Buzz.
Mansion.
Yeah, Mansion.
Gotta go Mansion.
Mansion.
That is almost unanimous.
Buzz,
Very good.
Buzz is that one that made it to the Final Four that just really never belonged there.
Like
Just had the right matchups.
Yeah. If I didn't have to try so hard to see where my little dot was, and if the gun wasn't bolted to the thing, I think
I should probably tell you guys that Golden State's up 11 right now, 88-77 with 10:24 left in the fourth.
That's Ben Foster with sports. All right.
Here
well,
on Sideline.
So the final matchup. So now the final matchup: Big Thunder Mountain versus Haunted Mansion, and all
Before
okay
we
final.
vote, Before we vote, let me tell you, I've seen a lot of these little bracket things. Disney's done a lot of these bracket things, but this is the best final two I think I've ever seen in any of the brackets.
Yeah.
It always ends up being some weird ride, and you're like, why is that in there? These two rides, when you think of Disney, you think of these two rides. No matter what Disney park you're at,
Yep.
you think of these two rides.
Yep.
So are you saying that we are the best podcast to do this? Because this has been done over and over.
Yeah, I Am Geek and Sideline Warning, the combined forces have created the best
Brain power.
WDW rides bracket out there.
Wonder
Far
Twins unite. I love it.
Ow. Now
Good
the
one.
real question. Who's going to win?
Which one?
Tune in next time on I Am Geek. See you.
No.
Please no.
I won't out of this little hole.
Never.
All right. Well,
All right, Dave.
yeah, go ahead.
I've been riding the Pirate coattails or Haunted Mansion coattails this whole time. It's a great ride, but
This is where Dave makes the case for Soarin' one more time.
Did you consider? But you can't smell oranges.
I originally had Rock Roller Coaster winning the whole thing, so I'm a roller coaster guy. And I think Katrin and Ryan, kind of convinced me that this is truly two different rides. So I'm going Big Thunder.
Wow.
There you go.
Okie dokie. Ryan, I think we know yours.
Silence.
Yeah, Big Thunder all the way.
Big Thunder.
Lots of good memories of Big Thunder. So I gotta go with Big Thunder.
Yeah, I'll go with Big Thunder as well.
Okay,
What would yours
Big
have been,
Thunder.
Nick?
Big Thunder is so much fun. It is an amazing ride, but it is not nearly as immersive. I get it. It's got its own like shtick around it, but Haunted Mansion is way more of an immersive experience. Just the innovative nature of how it was originally done, projecting the faces and making them follow you, all of that kind of stuff. Haunted Mansion is Disney. It's got to be the winner.
I agree. I like the Disney World version too, with the ring in the concrete. No one will confirm if it's part of the story or not, and all the different ways you can read the storyline based on what part of the ride you're looking at. I'd pick Mansion 2, but alas, it is 4-2, which means that Big Thunder Mountain is our champion.
No.
Big Thunder.
The GOAT.
So
Go
Big Thunder.
It was a comprehensive bracket for all of those Disney rides, but in the end, there could be only one winner. We appreciate the I Am Geek guys coming on the show. We appreciate all of our friends coming on the show that have helped us out through the past year. So we just wanted to give those guys a shout out. We're appreciative of all of our friends, the folks that call in, the folks that contribute in different ways. And, friends are great, but also the only thing that can beat good friends are good family. And Dave had a great memory on the show where he was remembering his grandmother and how that ties into her fandom as a football fan and how that ties into Dave's fandom as an Alabama fan. So here's that great memory from Dave and his grandmother.
There's something about traditional football there. Funny story. So this is going to be story time with Dave. You ready for this? My great grandmother, rest her soul, was the biggest Alabama fan I know, and she's probably one of the biggest reasons I'm an Alabama fan myself. The 1974, I think it was 74 Sugar Bowl when Notre Dame beat Alabama. This was a good Southern Christian lady. I never heard her cuss. Never heard her, she wouldn't hurt a fly, but she was one of the biggest Alabama fans you'll ever meet. And she was leaving the game. She always went to the Sugar Bowl when Alabama went. She was leaving the game, and a Notre Dame fan who truly was asking her a question said, "Ma'am, who won the game? I didn't get a chance to get in the stadium. Who won the game?" She turned around, and in only the way my Mama G could do, she turned around and said a word that I'm not going to say on this podcast, but shut the up. You know who won the game. I'm not telling you. So just, it's that hatred that Alabama has for Notre Dame that I think is awesome to see. One other side note, I have to say that, now we start talking about my Mama G. So before she died of Alzheimer's, I was in my 20s. I don't care to say that I had a stuffed teddy bear that she gave me when I was young, but it was an Alabama teddy bear. And about 5 days before she died, the only thing she could remember was not much. I handed her my stuffed teddy bear. I said, "Mama G, you gave this to me when I was young. I want you to have it now." And there was no memory on her face, but she looked at me with eyes I hadn't seen in years and said, "Roll Tide, I love you." And she was back gone. But sorry, had to bring that memory back up talking about this Notre Dame thing.
Yeah,
but
that's a great memory.
It was. It's amazing that family like that can shape who you root for, but they can also shape who you hate. And because of that, Notre Dame, even though Alabama doesn't play them much, I hate Notre Dame.
Oh, that was such a good memory. I think that's true for so many of us, that we've had family members and relatives that have helped make us Alabama fans and help make us sports fans. So whenever you can take some time to kind of think about those things, recognize how important some people are to your fandom, that's always great. So that's just a great story from Dave. Well, we've got one more segment left we're going to do here in this Best Of show, and for it is one of our great debates. It is one of the first times on the show that Adam really got on his soapbox and got fired up, and that's why it seems like a very fitting one to close out on, because it was a precursor to so many fantastic debates for us here on the show. So here it is. It is Adam's first soapbox.
We were going to record last night, but I'm kind of glad we had some scheduling conflicts, because just this afternoon, 2 huge announcements came from the NCAA, 2 big rule changes. We're going to go through them really quick. Probably not really quick. We're going to have a lot of debates about it. The first one will probably be the most heated. I can almost guarantee it, because I know Adam has a difference of opinions than I do on this one. But the NCAA has announced that no longer will schools and coaches be able to block a transfer to any other school. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not wild about it. I think you ought to be able to keep your main rivals from being able to recruit your players away from you. And I think that's really, a good way for a team to steal another team's playbook. And so I'm not wild about it, but as long as it's even across the board, I think that's probably good for the players, because you have, one player goes to a school and he's restricted from going anywhere in the conference, but a player could go to a different team in the conference and only have 1 or 2 schools that they're restricted from going to. So I think that an even playing field is really good for the players. I just think it's not good for football because there's going to be a lot of playbooks that get exposed this way.
Go ahead, Adam. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I'm not on my soapbox yet. I'm just jumping in.
Okay.
I think it is good for the players, and yeah, I think there will be some impacts overall. But I think that if you're at a point where there's a lot of people who feel pretty passionate, I don't happen to be one of the ones in this particular camp, but there's a lot of people that feel pretty passionate about compensation for players and the fact that there's so much money made off of their efforts and that type of thing. And I don't necessarily go that far, but I think that this is at least allowing them a little bit of flexibility to actually be students, to be people and not property of the university they just happen to sign up for first. Now, I had an interesting conversation with my dad this past weekend just about some of the Alabama's recent ones, and
here we go.
Should you be able to transfer when they graduated and that type of thing? And we had a difference of opinion, and we all probably would here too with me, I think. But I think overall it's a good thing because ultimately at the end of the day, these are student athletes. And yeah, football is a big money-making venture. It generates a lot of television, a lot of ad revenue, a lot of money for the schools. And yeah, there will be some problems with people seeing playbooks and knowing what other teams are doing and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, these are kids. And I think that this, if you're not going to pay them and we're not going to go down that path, I think this at least gives them a little bit of flexibility to be individuals and not property. But
Adam, let me ask you a question. You've got a son who is what, 8 now?
He's 8. Yeah.
8. Okay.
He's not looking to transfer, is he?
No.
Okay, good.
Actually, the next door neighbors have been like,
But let me ask you this. What are you ever teaching him a lesson of when you make a promise to somebody, you stick with it?
Now you're going to get me on my soapbox. So yes, I am saying that you should be a man of your word, but I would argue the fact that in some of these cases, and I'm trying to be delicate, in a lot of these cases of these players, they probably don't have that same influence, number one, in their lives up to the point where they go to college. And number two, I would also, and this is one of the arguments I was making with my dad, is that if some of these athletes don't play football, they don't go to school. And if somebody wants to stay all the way through graduate school, as a society, for the good of everybody, we ought to want these kids to stay in school as long as possible. And if that means transferring to go get your degree so that you can go be a productive citizen in the back end of all this when football is gone, a lot of these kids, if they stop playing or they transfer out and they say, no, we're blocking it, and they're just like, well, I quit, they're not going to stay in school.
Coaches,
they're going to go home.
Coaches can leave whenever they want to. So why can't a player leave whenever they want to?
That I couldn't
Okay,
agree.
so are we opening up Pandora's box and just having free agency now in football? In college football? Because why don't we go ahead and call this the NFL? I don't like this rule. I think that if they're going to transfer, make the rule where you can't transfer in the conference. I'll give you 100 other schools you can transfer to, but not in your conference. These are the guys that you see every year that you have to hide secrets from.
Yeah.
So if the backup center from Alabama, who knows all the plays on the offensive line, wants to go somewhere, don't go into your conference.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. The one place where I might make an exception is in like a family medical situation. Like, let's say a player, is from Tennessee and he commits to Alabama, or he commits to Auburn, or he commits to Georgia, and then he finds out that like a relative has some serious ailment, cancer or something very serious like that, and they want to move to be closer to home, to be with their family, and they're an SEC caliber team, the SEC caliber player, they ought to be able to move closer to home in that medical situation. But otherwise, they ought to be restricted from being able to transfer within their conference. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree broader than that, though, because if the backup center going from Alabama to Tennessee puts our ability to win a national championship at risk, that's the cost of doing business.
But it's not
a high-stakes business for a reason.
It's not putting the championship stakes at risk.
Okay.
What if Pierce Baker goes down? Alabama has no one else at backup center right now.
Okay.
So
yeah, but
we should be doing everything we can to keep those people in and understanding who they are as people and what their motivations would be to transfer in the first place.
You can
and that's what
convert a guard. You can convert a guard to a center. You could also, if your backup center can freely leave, you ought to be able to go get a backup center to freely come to you, especially if you're Alabama. this hurts, even though we're talking about Alabama's playbook getting stolen, this hurts Alabama the least because Alabama is the best program in the country. If somebody cuts and runs from Alabama for whatever reason, they are going to be able to restock their team better than anybody else. Who this really hurts is a school like Vanderbilt. If they've got a good center and he's able to transfer somewhere else, or a good wide receiver and he transfers somewhere else, it's going to be a lot harder for Vandy to restock. It's going to be a lot harder for a strong academic school. Not saying Alabama's not good academically, but they're not Vandy. It's going to be a lot harder for a team of lesser football caliber and stronger academics to be able to stock up their own players. And that's going to put a lot of teams at a disadvantage. It's not going to put Alabama at a long-term disadvantage because they're always going to be able to reload much better than these other teams.
I mean, it seems a little duplicitous to me to have all these coaches go out on the recruiting trail and sit in the living room of these mothers, right? Think about your mama, right? And he tells them, all the coaches tell him, I will have your child's best interest at heart. As long as they go to my school, we will develop them in the best way possible so that they have the best shot to play in the NFL. And if it turns out that that's not the best place, I'm going to block the transfer so that your child doesn't have the best opportunity. That's the dark side of it that they don't say. But is that we're not going to let them transfer if that ends up being the best thing. I'm actually going to block it and break all the promises I just made to you sitting in your living room.
Well, let's be fair. So everybody is vilifying Nick Saban for this Brandon Kennedy situation, saying you can't go to Auburn or Tennessee. That's not Nick Saban alone. Up until 2 weeks ago, that was an SEC rule.
Yeah.
The only person that was actually saying, let's make this rule stick, was Nick Saban. All the other 13 coaches were kind of turning a blind eye. Nick Saban was truly going by the rule book. So let's not vilify Nick Saban in that situation that you're talking about, though. And I feel like Nick Saban has gotten a horrible rap for this Brandon Kennedy situation.
Yeah.
Well, I just think I think it's legit to be able to block somebody from going to your rivals. But, you know, it ought to be that you just have like 2 or 3 options, and that's it. Like, you shouldn't be able to cap everything. Like, nowhere within 1,000 miles of here can you go. But you ought to be able to keep your in-state rival from getting a player, and you ought to be able to keep your next state over rival from getting a player.
Well, there's a slippery slope with that, though, Ben, and I agree with you to a certain point. You should be able to block maybe 2 schools, but when you say rival, everybody in the SEC considers Alabama a rival. So if you say that, then Alabama says, you can't go to any of my rivals. Okay, that's not LSU. That's not Mississippi State. That's not Auburn. That's not Tennessee.
But look. Everybody has like 2 pretty good rivals, and I get it that like everybody wants to call Alabama a rival, but legitimately, not all rivals are created equal. Alabama clearly has 2 rivalries that are more significant than others, and that is because Auburn is the in-state rival, and then Tennessee is the Eastern Division rival that Alabama plays every year. That's 2 teams that you play every year that you ought to be able to block. That doesn't mean any team in the conference is automatically your rival, and maybe you should be able to designate who your 2 rivals are. If Tennessee is so weak you don't care that a guy's going to Tennessee, maybe you designate Georgia as your rival or something like that. But give every team 2 schools to designate as their rivals and make it and that actually will enhance the rivalry because none of your players can go there. They're going to really hate those schools because they're never going to go there, and they're across from you. So you just draw a line in the sand and say, you shall not go to Auburn, you shall not go to Tennessee. They are our sworn enemies, and that reinforces the rivalry even more. I think that's great.
Yeah, and that's why everybody should go to UCF because who would you block if you're UCF? Austin Peay.
Oh, there it is.
So let me ask you guys this then. Let's say that you have, and there's a domino effect that you're probably going to see with some of this, right? That let's say Tennessee loses a guy for his career due to a really bad injury, right? And there's a player at Alabama that's a perfect plug-in to fill that spot, who is one of our second or third string. And that means instant playing time, instant time to be out on a field in the SEC to prove his ability to the scouts, to prove his ability to everybody in the media, right? Should he, if the best thing for him is to go and have that starting 12 games next year, because he still has to sit out the rest of this year, but if he does go and he plays next year and he has that ability to prove himself, that's the best thing for him. And yeah, it's our rival, but we're allowing someone to live up to their potential. So is the potential loss on the side of we let someone go to a rival worth it in the sense that a player was allowed to now improve their draft stock? Even if they didn't get drafted from Alabama, they still had the ability to make it more than they would have if they were sitting third string on the bench.
Well, let's look at Alvin Kamara with that situation.
Yeah.
I mean, Alvin Kamara played at Alabama, didn't get much playing time. Then he decided to go to Tennessee and he became a beast, and now he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. I mean, Alabama didn't care that he went to Tennessee then because Tennessee sucked. And the problem Alabama's having now...
Did he go directly to Tennessee, though?
Yes, he did.
I thought he stopped off somewhere.
I think he went directly to Tennessee. But the problem that Alabama's having now is not only is Brandon Kennedy wanting to go to Tennessee, also our defensive coordinator is the head coach at Tennessee.
Yeah.
So all of Alabama's offensive and defensive side playbooks will be wide open. So...
Yeah, it's to me the bigger issue is not so much with Brandon Kennedy as it is with Jeremy Pruitt. You ought to kind of have enough respect that you don't cross over and go try to pull players from your old coach. It's one thing if it's a high school recruit. It's a very different thing if it's a player that you actually had a relationship with when they were at that other school.
Right. I'm going to put a nice bow on this conversation with this one little part of this article from Saturday Down South. I'm glad you brought that up, Ben. It says...
real quick, one thing. Alvin Kamara did go to a community college in between Alabama and Tennessee,
okay,
which makes it a little easier. I thought he
That's
had
more
stopped
legit.
off. Okay. Anyway,
okay.
Sorry.
But Saturday Down South said, in an attempt to prevent schools from tampering with student athletes already enrolled at another institution, a la Jeremy Pruitt coming down to Alabama, the NCAA has made tampering a level 2 violation, where it was like a level 3 violation before. This is only one step removed from the most serious infraction, a level 1 violation. So the NCAA is going to try to make it where tampering is not allowed.
But how do you prove tampering? You can look at something and say that looks like tampering. But tampering's a hard thing to prove. You got to have text messages or emails. I mean, and how do you get those? Those are easily traceable. Yeah. How do you get those things? The NCAA doesn't have subpoena power. That's why the FBI has gotten involved in basketball games. They don't have the ability to go get this information they'd like to have. Again, just like so many of these segments here on the Best Of Show, that one was too much fun. We loved arguing with Adam. We loved having that discussion, just like we have with all of our arguments and discussions on this show. So we're looking forward to having even more of those in the new year. 2019 is going to be great, and it's going to start off with a national championship game. We will be back in just a few short days to break down the national championship game. Hopefully our predictions will be true and it will feature Alabama. If Clemson's in there, that's great, but hopefully just our Bama predictions are true, and we'll be talking about the Tide and their national championship prospects. If not, we'll also be having lots of rants about why they didn't win. I did not jinx the team there. That definitely did not happen. I did not jinx the team there. Again, we thank you so much. We've been doing this for over a year, and this Best Of show is just a small taste of all the fun we've had over the past 55, 56 episodes. So thank you so much for listening to our podcast, supporting us. We hope in 2019 it will be your New Year's resolution to keep listening to us and to tell some friends about the show. But we love you as always. We want to tell you, roll Tide.